Okay, so welcome from this second training for the project. Today we are going to have a workshop about business model, about business growth for data spaces. We will explore how data spaces, especially from smart communities, can drive innovation, growth, and sustainability. I will be moderating the workshop. I'm Flavio Fuart from the ICT Association of Slovenia. I have two co-hosts today here, Ines Vlahovic, my colleague. She says hello. And then David Regezi. We invited David, sorry. He's from the Data Space Support Center. We already mentioned several times the Data Space Support Center, and David is there responsible in a way for the business part of data spaces.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the invitation.
Thanks for coming, David. So here we are today, the second training, and today in the afternoon you will also have the governance part. So I will try to avoid as much as possible the governance topics today, but as you will see, these two topics are very interlinked. So business and governance are in a way depend one of the other. But I will refer you to the afternoon training for this part, and then tomorrow you have technical topics. So short introduction, then I will explain about the workshop, and then it's hands-on. So this is the last slide we had on the first training, if you remember. So we said that business models support growth of smart and sustainable cities and communities. A good business model enables innovation because it creates this framework for a data-driven economy. A good business model, of course, should create revenue streams. A good business model because the investors trust us that we have a good framework, can attract further investment in cities, because they are, of course, more likely to support initiatives that have clear strategies about value creation. Private-public collaboration. So these models for a similar reason also encourage this creation of public-private partnerships. So we can say that a well-structured business model powers the growth of smart and sustainable cities of communities by enabling innovation, creating revenue streams, public-private collaboration, and attracting investments. Now, when we talk about smart and sustainable cities and communities, we often think about public funding, right? This is a natural solution how to create good business models for this topic, and we see really initiatives relying heavily on grants and subsidies, sorry, to get this off ground. Not only city authorities, which is in a way expected, but also businesses. But today, Ines and David decided to challenge this, right? Because they come from the business world. So they say denied. We would like to see how how would a data space survive and thrive without public funding. So we really have to make this question. So what happens if public funding is removed from this formula? And we have to ask ourselves, is our project still sustainable, or how can it become sustainable to generate value and sustain the growth? So yes, public funding can be a good kickstart, but the true test for our data space today is to understand how we can survive and scale up without those funding. Now, of course, there are a lot of sectors where data economy and data spaces can help. So here I would like to have a short discussion with you, maybe as a first step toward the workshop. If you can take your mobile phones and try to open this in Slido. So which sector, in your opinion, has the greatest potential for business growth in using shared data? Forget about data spaces at the moment, but if you can give the ranking, so when you open Slido, you can give the ranking of those answers.
Fabio?
Yeah.
Is it for the companies who are in this sector, or is it for the data space itself?
It's for everyone. It's where how can we which of these areas has the greatest potential to generate business growth?
So Timo, if you think also about companies, it will immediately be also about the data space, because companies will be interested in joining the data space.
But doesn't that depend on the revenue model of the data space? So whoever is governing or managing the data space does not necessarily have a business case, even if companies are interested.
But as we said today, we will try to think of, yes, public funding for the initial stage, but then let's think about how the data space it can survive without public funding.
Sure, understood.
Okay, can we have some more answers? I think here we have more people attending, but okay, I would say not a big surprise for today's training, because both pilots have the topic of mobility. Maybe an open question to everyone. Why is urban planning? Why do you think urban planning and safety doesn't have such a big potential?
It's more difficult.
It's more difficult, and also with regards to urban planning, that's, at least in Finland, that's in great deal managed by the city itself. So not necessarily the best business case for the entire ecosystem.
Maybe for safety, it is really connected with the privacy and data, let's say, sharing of GDPR and all those things. It is harder to use it, maybe, I don't know.
I agree it's harder, but then again, the same provisions go with health. So really sensitive data related to individuals. So not necessarily GDPR type of security issues, more like societal preparedness for example, war. type of thing. We actually struggle with this in Helsinki already. So we have some projects that we are trying to plan with the rescue services of the city, but it's really hard because they can't share any data related to their level of preparedness for any kind of scenarios.
Maybe David, I would like to ask you for a comment because I have seen yesterday from our discussions by email that you have been involved also in the European health data space, and
Correct.
this is basically the first data space to be regulated, right? And where we have the European regulation.
That
will
has
be
a
put in
regulatory
place.
framework
Yeah.
in terms of how the data
Yeah.
space should be set up. Yes.
Maybe a comment on that, and then we move on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and I think this applies to all of the categories, including safety, because when you say safety, I was thinking back to a project I worked on quite some time ago. It was called Driver on disaster response, and there's quite a bit of private sector activity there, and data that is non-personal that needs to be shared in order to coordinate responses that isn't necessarily strictly public sector. And the same goes for health, which one of the complications around health, of course, is the business opportunities change depending on the member state, because health tends to be a member state issue rather than a European issue. So you look at, so one of the exercises that we did compared to Italy and the Netherlands, Italy, it's a very top-down, national-driven system, whereas in the Netherlands, they have private sector insurance, private health providers, and there are opportunities there. And then, of course, is it about service delivery? Is it about selling hardware? Health is a huge space at the moment where there is quite a lot happening. We tend to think about sort of patients and the complications involved in personal data and data sharing when it comes to sort of health opportunities, but it is greater than that and depends on. I mean, the one issue, I think, just to kind of close it up in terms of broad brushstroke first thoughts, is health. The health data space is very complicated in the sense that it incorporates an awful lot. And I think it's easier to think about a data space when the scope is a bit narrower than what they are trying to do with the European health data space. I mean, I did one exercise which was just about wearables and wearable data and what you can do to it. And we spent an entire day digging into the business elements of what you could do with wearable data, which is very clearly coming from the private sector, but has unique elements to it compared to home care or whatever else you might want to think about in the health space.
Okay, thank you, David. This is also a good introduction for the next question, I think. And we have already seen that we have quite some topics that are related also to the governance of the data space, which in a way also sets a frame of what can be done from the business side. So this is based on your experience. What is the primary barrier to use data for business growth in your cities? So this is really about not only data spaces, but what are the main problems that you see when you talk about data sharing in your environment? Again, if you have slide open, I think it already went to the next question. Otherwise, you can scan again. Wow. Okay, we have 11 answers. Thank you. So for that, I would like to go to the next slide. So we are now playing with some ideas, and Ines, David, and I we developed a use case that we would like to go through with you. Also later with a workshop. So let's imagine we have a cycle city data space, which enables sharing of urban cycling data about between different stakeholders to enhance citizens' well-being, infrastructure, services, and so on. So we have this data space. What are the use cases that you can think about? So we have some entities sharing cycling data or data around this topic. If you can type in few use cases that we could implement through that use case. So opportunities for businesses, of course, but also opportunities for citizens and for city authorities. David, maybe I use you as data space support center expert. Can you define for us what is a use case?
Oh dear, you're going to ask me to remember what's in our glossary.
From the business point of view, maybe, yeah.
Well, from the business point of view, well, in my own words, for me, a use case is essentially a self-contained business idea of sorts, in terms of a type of service that is going to be provided based on a certain amount of data sharing. So, I mean, there's some discussion about whether you build out a use case from the data itself or the use case is designed to solve a particular problem, but that's kind of my very loose way that I think about what is a use case at the end of the day. So if I have a data product, I can definitely build out multiple use cases to say, I can use that data to do X, Y, and Z, which I can then sell or fund in a particular way.
Okay, tracking, multimodal transport, bicycle data, real-time data. Yeah, it seems that it splits the, yeah. So tracking, identification, mobility services, environment. Okay, we have one environment. Apps. Okay, I would like to jump immediately to the next slide to speed things up a bit, so that around 10 we can start a workshop. I will show now what are the use cases that we thought about. So we thought about some very basic use cases, right? Like bike sharing, and then immediately after that, we said what about urban planning? This also a bit connects to what we said earlier. So if we have all this data related to cycling routes, which one are used, what's the impact on the environment, and so on. This can be an input for urban planners. Insurance for cyclists, real-time navigation, these are all relatively easy one. Integration with public transportation, maintenance. But then we thought, okay, what are the additional things that can really create new business models? So there is marketing, there is engagement of local businesses. When we talk about data sharing, so businesses that are around cycling roads can advertise, can provide their services, so can become part of this ecosystem. Event planning, health and fitness tracking, cycling routes for tourists, and so on. So there are many use cases that we could implement through this data space, and then we thought, okay, what are the participants? What are data space participants? Who are the actors in this? And then you can see this very long list from residents, tourists, cycling associations, all the businesses around it, and of course everything that is related to city authorities. And then when we talk about the data space, there are also some very data space or data sharing specific actors that you need. App providers, we need some data analytics, we need someone to operate this data space, this data sharing system. And we need also data space governance authority, which is very specific for data spaces. So we need someone or something that governs the data space. This is for the afternoon. And then we, of course, have to think how these new actors survive. Where is the sustainability? Where is the added value for let's say real world participants, for them to basically finance also this other part. And for today's exercise, we said, okay, we take one use case and we are going to try to evolve it. So let's suppose we have multiple bike rental companies that operate independently in the city. Each of them offers their own app for bike rentals, and this means that citizens have to maintain multiple accounts in multiple apps, and this of course complicates the whole experience. And there is this Citizens Mobility Association that has asked the City Council to integrate this use case in the data space, or in the CycleCity data space. And the goal of the use case is to enable residents to rent bikes from any company using a simple app of their choice. Now, let's forget about all the technical challenges here. We are thinking about the data space and the data economy. So the City Council is now engaging with bike rental companies to explore the added value for them to participate in the data space. This also aligns with regulatory requirements upcoming. For the example, the Data Act, which promotes or requires even data sharing at some level of interoperability. So we have the stick, as Tomasz said, but let's see also where is the carrot for companies. So where are the incentives for them? So the City Council wants to deliver mutual benefits to everyone. So if we go back then to our to our participants. So the one that I highlighted, they are those that that will be part of this use case. So we have residents as the end users. We have the cycling association that's engaged with the city council. We have, of course, bike rental companies. Then we split it, city authorities and city services, just to make it easier for us to think about. So city services, it's a public company or all public companies that that support the operation of city utilities and so on. We need a payment service provider. So Tomasz is going to talk with the payment service provider in 15 minutes.
I skip it, no problem. The others will do the job.
So we need the service payment providers, of course, in all this ecosystem, and then we think about data analytics to be provided, data who is operating, what is the business model for those operating the data space, and what is the business model of the data space governance authority. I have here now listed all a bit more in depth all the actors. I will go quickly through them, and then during the workshop, maybe if you need more details, we can share them again. So residents are they use applications for renter services from multiple providers, and they would like to use one app. So our idea was to persuade companies to provide information about all available bicycles from their competition as well. So see what are the incentives and also what is required by the new upcoming Data Act. And then it's of course about payment and so on. So then we have the association, the Mobility Association. They of course represent the citizens, but in the context of this use case, they are willing to take the role of the orchestrator. So this is someone that is accountable for a specific use case in this data space architecture in the context of governance. So they have to enforce rules for what are the specific rules for the use case that we are developing. Bike rental companies, of course, they supply bikes, they maintain their bikes, and they should share relevant data with the data space to facilitate this interoperability and enhance user experience. We still treat them as data consumer and data provider in the sense of the data space. City authorities, they oversee the data policy, privacy, they ensure compliance, and they manage these relationships with stakeholders, and they chair the data space governance authority. Now, how is this composed? We will hear more in the afternoon. City services. So this is a public company doing whatever has to be done in this data space context for the whole system to work. They're not operating the data space, but they are providing data. They also do some physical work, like moving bicycles maybe from one station to the other if the stations are full or empty and so on. Then we have a Byte Insight Analytics company, which provides data analytics. So let's see what is the business case for them. Yeah, so they can have some insights for usage patterns, for example, maintenance needs, optimal distribution of bikes, and so on. And then they can also support then later urban planning decisions. Paylink, so this is a very standard payment service provider. And then we have a company that is going to operate the data space. This is really running the infrastructure and all the system that is needed for the data space to operate. So they should ensure data sharing among participants, technical infrastructure, and so on. Okay. Now we go to the workshop.